Good evening, everybody. You're all very welcome to our webinar this evening. My name's Anne Halloran. My company is in-tuition.ie, and what we do is we help business startups and small and medium-sized enterprises get their business online. So if you want to check out our training courses, just log on to our website, or you can connect with me on @AnneHalloran. So we've got a great event tonight. I'm really excited because we have Samantha Kelly joining us. And as you know, Samantha is the tweeting goddess. She's got, I think, last count, 12,000 followers. And so I'm really pleased that she's taken the time out to join us this evening to talk about how to use Twitter effectively for your business. And you can reach Samantha, if you haven't already, on @tweetinggoddess. So you there, Samantha?
I'm here. Hi.
Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Great. You're very welcome.
Lovely to be here.
Yes, I'm delighted to have you. If you're already on Twitter and you're comfortable with it, well, you can also use the hashtag #IntuitionWebinar. Okay, so love to hear from you. And at this point then, I'm going to hand over to Samantha. And Samantha, if you'd like to take us through what you're going to talk about this evening.
Yeah, I will indeed. Hi, everyone. Thanks a million for coming along, and thanks, Anne, for inviting me. We're going to talk about using Twitter for business. Why use Twitter in the first place, Twitter or Facebook. A lot of you might already be on Facebook, and we're going to go through how to use Twitter effectively. And we're also going to talk about a few success stories as well. So moving on, okay, why use Twitter? Well, a lot of you might know my story, but I found it very, very good for building relationships on Twitter. For small businesses especially, it's a great way to get your product out there, to get your name and your brand out there. You know, like a lot of people are a little bit afraid of Twitter because some people, I had an interview this morning actually on Dublin City FM, and we were talking about, like, he was saying, God, you know, I thought it was just for journalists and for celebrities to use, but it's not. More and more small business owners are using it, and even for yourself. I mean, you know, things are different these days, you know, like it's harder to get out, you know, with the recession and stuff, you know, but you can go on Twitter and you can actually even, you know, follow the things that interest you. Like if you're into hill walking, if you're into kayaking, there's all sorts of different groups on Twitter that you can kind of get involved in conversations. If you're into social media, there's all these top guys you can follow from the US. Like, it's just not, it's not just for Ireland, you know. That's what I love about Twitter. It's a global thing. If you want to just see the stats, we have like there's 230 million active users, which is amazing, 500 million tweets a day, and interestingly 76% of those are via mobile. And when you think about it, like, it's not so long ago that everybody didn't have a mobile, but now, like, even the teenagers have mobile. So I mean, you know, if you see a tweet coming up, chances are it's someone on the go through their mobile. And I know myself, I've tweeted from my mobile a lot. So it's an interesting stat, that, you know, and that's all the more reason to have your website mobile friendly, by the way. So another thing maybe to just take note of. And then 72% of Twitter users are more likely to purchase from an SME they are following. An SME is a small to medium enterprise, just for anyone who doesn't know what that means. But 72%, I mean, that just shows you that Twitter really is all about building relationships. It's as simple as that. I mean, like, try not to think about Facebook here. Like, Twitter, I find people on Twitter especially are very willing to share, and it's really easy to share, which means retweet. So if someone retweets something you've put up, like, instantly they're sharing what you've said with their followers. So I mean, 72% is a high number. Like, if you start interacting with your customers or potential customers, or even just people on Twitter, they're more likely to recommend you as well to somebody on Twitter. Like, I've been tagged in loads of tweets. So, why don't you try Tweeting Goddess, or maybe Tweeting Goddess can help you here, or that kind of thing. So moving on, if you see, like, you know, this is a tweet that I put up recently. So if you see the tweet, it says 6 spaces left in my Twitter workshop in hashtag Dublin. Now, a hashtag, for those of you who don't know what a hashtag is, it's like if you're kind of narrowing down your search. So if I click on that hashtag Dublin, I'll get every single person who has mentioned Dublin in their tweets. So every single person who has mentioned the word Dublin. So this means that, let's say you're in the wedding business. I think there might be someone from the wedding business on tonight. If you're there, hi. Just, you know, if you search hashtag weddings, if you search brides, if you search engaged, you know, you will actually find people using those words that will actually probably be in the same business as you, or they'll be looking for your products, like be a potential customer. And don't forget, just because one person you're talking to isn't a bride, like their niece might be, their cousin, their sister, you know, so don't discount anybody. So I put down the hashtag Dublin because I was hoping that people that were using Dublin in their tweets would see it, and also to highlight the fact that it's in Dublin. So it says 6 spaces left on my Twitter workshop in Dublin. So if you know anyone who needs to be on Twitter, and then I just go ... I put up the link to book a place on the workshop. So the Eventbrite is the link of where you go to book your place on the workshop. So if I put that tweet out and if someone retweets it, that means that it's going from me to all their followers as well. And then let's say one of their friends thinks, oh, this is cool, I'm going to retweet that. Then it'll go to all their friends. So it's like a domino effect. Like, you know, it's instant mass communication, and it's just unreal how it works. I mean, you know, I'm sure if you go to my blog on tweetinggoddess.com, there's lots of stories, lots of Twitter stories about how it's worked for me. But, you know, the more people that you have in your followers, they're kind of, if you can think of them as your own little army of mass marketeers, like they're your own little army of speakers, I suppose, that are going to spread the word for you. So if you try and think of it like that. So followers are important, but don't discount anyone, because just because, let's say, you're in the wedding business and there's a man following you who is into IT or something like that, which has nothing to do with the wedding business, don't discount him because he could have just got engaged recently and his girlfriend might not be on Twitter. You know, he could have a sister who's getting married, so he'd be watching you and he'd be seeing what you're coming out with. So just be aware of that. Moving on.
Oops, sorry.
This is yeah. I find Twitter as well, because it's relatively new, really, in Ireland. I mean, there's a lot of people, a lot of businesses that aren't on Twitter yet. Now, I mean big businesses. Like, don't forget, Ryanair only recently joined Twitter. So if you think about it that way, you're well ahead. If you get on Twitter before your competitors, you're ahead of your competitors straight away. You're already getting the attention of people offline. And even, let's say, if you're a beauty salon in, let's say, Stepaside, you know, there's no reason why me going up to Dublin off the N11, off the M50. I mean, it's so easy for me to get to you now on my way up to Dublin. So, you know, don't discount someone down in Wexford, for example, because your whole market is open to you with the way things are in the world at the moment. So stay ahead and keep track of your competitors, because you can follow your competitors on Twitter. You can see what they're up to. You can see what offers they're coming out with now, you know. It's brilliant, and I have had lots of competitors follow me and see what's happening with me. And, you know, it's no harm. Just keep an eye on them and see what's going on, and see, you know, if they come out with some brilliant article, that you try and find a better one, or, you know, whatever. You know, so it's a really good way to keep track of your competitors. Moving on, if we have a look, yeah, the best way to reach your target market is, I just think hashtags are brilliant. Hashtags, keywords, you know, like a hashtag, if you, like, let's say, for example, you're in the wedding business, we use it as another example. Like, if you use the hashtag weddings, hashtag bridal, hashtag brides, hashtag, like, there's loads of hashtags, and just use those words that would be associated with weddings. You know, you're going to go into those streams where those hashtags are being used. So I wouldn't use too many, though. You know, maybe one hashtag or two hashtags. You know, keep it light. You know, try and use keywords that people will identify with as well. You know, like if you use family, things that people, try and think of the human behind the Twitter account, you know. You can instantly interact with lots of potential customers when you're on Twitter. I do run a hotel Twitter account, and, you know, I find that our interaction is brilliant because, you know, people would ask questions and I don't just leave them there. I actually answer their question, but then I say, well, what are you up to today? Like, carry on the conversation. If someone retweets, you say, thank you very much for retweeting, or thanks for sharing that. You know, we're really excited about this event coming up, and will you be coming? You know, carry on the conversation, interact, engage with your customers. Okay, and you can sell on Twitter. I've sold on Twitter. You know, and it's just as simple as, you know, have you seen this one we have? Oh my God, that's gorgeous. My mother would love that. Well, here's the link. There you go. Buy now. You know, don't be afraid to put the link up. Don't be afraid to, you know, encourage them to go to your site and say, well, did you see this one we had last week? This really went well, or this was really popular. And, you know, if you're a clothes shop, for example, you could say, well, look what we just got in today. I mean, someone might say, oh God, how many, have you got a size 14 in that? And you can say, yes, I do actually, and here it is, and put the link up to the size 14 and the buy now button, because then you get your sale, hopefully. You know, it does work. Clicks to sale are very popular on Twitter, you know. And the demographic on Twitter, just so you know, is it's really, you can see it there in front of you. You have the slide in front of you. I mean, really, you can see a lot of the younger ones have actually left Twitter because mom is on Twitter or dad is on Twitter. So they're like, I'm not hanging around here anymore. So they're kind of gone to Snapchat and all these other cool new things that are coming out now. But, you know, I would say, like, I always kind of say 35 to 55 would be the demographic, really. Like, your target audience is right there. You know, urban, professional. You know, most of the target audience on Twitter is that is the demographic on Twitter. And the highest growing demographic, by the way, is the over 55s. And the reason for that, I think, is because, well, number one, they're kind of probably sitting around and they're kind of learning new skills, but also a lot of them, their children have emigrated, and, you know, the grandchildren are on Skype, and, you know, the only way they can see the pictures is on Facebook. So they're learning all these new ways to communicate. So I think, like, that's a very interesting statistic, especially, like, for example, if you're a hairdresser, you know, and you're going to be targeting, you know, your target market would be in that over 55 as well, getting colour done. I know what it's like trying to hide the grey, you know. So, you know, these are the kind of things you have to think about. Who are these human beings that you want to target, and they're actually behind these Twitter accounts. So moving on, Twitter versus Facebook. Okay, now a lot of people have got so used to Facebook and they're kind of afraid to move over to Twitter. Why choose one over the other? Well, myself, I find that Twitter, the audience is more likely to share what you're putting up. So, like, if you put a post on Facebook. Now, don't tell me I'm not anti-Facebook, by the way. I use Facebook myself, but this is about Twitter, and I find that Twitter, it's just a click, it's just a retweet. Whereas Facebook, you're kind of, you have to share, and then you just say you want to put a comment on before you share, and, you know, it's just, and most people, you don't even know if they're going to all see the post at the same time. Whereas Twitter, a tweet only lasts a few seconds, well, you know, a few minutes, like, and, you know, most of your followers potentially are going to see that tweet, you know. I just find Twitter, they're much more willing to share your content and to, you know, retweet it. And there's so many more communities and small businesses as well. And Facebook, I find I've got so many old friends from school and family, and, you know, Twitter is more, my God, you can just open a whole new world, you know. So it's for people you know or don't know. Like, it's for friends you haven't met yet, really. To be honest, I've made a lot of friends on Twitter, and I've met people that I should never ever have met. You know, people like in the UK, through Twitter, met them at conferences over there. People have come over here. We actually have a lady from the UK coming over to our conference on the 30th, which is brilliant. You know, so these are people that we probably should never have met, and we just meet them on Twitter. It's amazing. Your tweets, that is ads, appear on all of your followers' news feeds. That's a really good plus that I was saying earlier. By the way, when I say ads, the best thing, if you can try and be creative and disguise an ad as not being an ad, that's a real skill, and it does work. You know, you can actually put an ad out about something, but it doesn't look like an ad. You could put a picture, a funny picture up, or something that leads back to your site, but it doesn't look like an ad. If you can try and be creative with your tweets in 140 characters, yes, you'll have to put a bit of practice in, but you can disguise an ad as not being an ad at all, you know. So, but I would actually, I'd probably go 7 out of 10 tweets. I would try and keep it 3 maybe ads. The rest would be interactions, conversations, you know, talking to other people, funny things, content, interesting stuff that you found on the internet that you want to put up. You know, you want to show people that you're the expert in what you do. So if your thing is weddings, you know, I'm just using weddings as an example here. Sorry, guys. You know, if your industry is weddings and you're a wedding planner or something, you want to make sure that the minute someone says, "Gosh, I think I might need a wedding planner," that people on Twitter go, "Actually, why don't you go to such and such?" They actually instantly know that you're the go-to person for that industry, that you know your stuff, that you always share articles about wedding planning, that whatever your industry is, whatever your business is, that you know your stuff. You want to show that you are the expert in what you do. And that's what Twitter is great for doing, because, you know, you can share content from other articles, and they'll say via independent.ie, for example, if you get an article from there, you know, so they're delighted you shared it. And then it also makes you look like you are the expert because you've got this great article you just shared. So just a little tip there. Twitter can be more urban, professional, and helpful content sharing, which I've gone over. And it has a greater number of influential individuals, because if you think about it, Facebook, you know, you have to actually be accepted as a friend. So let's say you want to follow someone like, I don't know, some celebrity or somebody, you have to be accepted as a friend if you send a friend request, all that kind of stuff. Whereas Twitter, you can just follow them and you can see what they're up to. You can, you know, kind of nearly be part of their lives if you want to, unless you want to turn into a little bit of a stalker, of course. But, you know, really it's interesting because you can see what they're doing, where they are, their friends, all that kind of stuff. And then they might follow you back. They might say something to you. They might retweet you. You never know. But there's a bigger chance, basically, on Twitter. You've got all kinds of influential individuals from social media to, you know, beauty to bloggers, all this kind of stuff. So it's really, really cool that way. And every follower is a potential marketeer. So if you nurture those relationships that you start building on Twitter, like what I was saying, engage, keep the conversation going, and then if you see them put up a tweet, let's say, "Oh, so nervous, big interview today," or whatever, go back later and say, "Well, how did the interview go?" You know, keep the conversation going. Be interested in what they're saying. You know, I'm not going to follow you if you're not interested in what I'm doing as well. You know, like, try and kind of surround yourself with people that get what you're doing, that understand what you're doing, that get you, you know, that might be in a similar industry or an SME also, like with Irish Biz Party, you know, somebody that kind of gets what you're doing and what you're all about, or if you're in beauty, that they'll be in beauty as well, or an interest in the industry at least, you know. So so every follower is a potential marketeer. So even if, as I said, even if there's a guy, country guy down the road into GA and you're not into GA at all, he might have a sister that has a wedding coming up, for example. Okay, so don't discount any of your followers. They're all potential marketeers. Yeah, moving on.
Great. Okay. Well, Samantha, you've given some wonderful tips there, and I have to agree with you. I mean, the amount of business now that's getting done on Twitter is just growing phenomenally, and I just find it very easy to use. You know, I love it. And thanks to your help, you know, you've been giving us some great tips as we go along. So at this point, I just want to ask our listeners, have you any particular questions at this point you want to put to Sam? And while you're typing into the chat window, or maybe through the hashtag Intuition Webinar, maybe I could just ask you, Samantha, how long have you been on Twitter? And can you tell us a little bit about the story of how you got into it? Because I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, I've been on it since, I think it was August 2011. I had a business called Funky Goddess, and I had no marketing budget. So I decided that I'd use Twitter and Facebook. Like, to be honest, I actually had a Facebook account first. I hadn't a clue about Twitter. And my sister Roz, she set me up on Twitter. She goes, "There you go, you have a Twitter account." And I was like, okay, what do I do with this? Like, and so I just started. I think my first tweet was, "So excited about my new website," and then I put a link up to the website. And that was my first tweet ever, I think. So I don't know. I just started I started following people myself. So I started following people that I kind of like Theo Paphitis, and some people that I recognize, some celebrities and stuff. And then I started seeing all these other people, like authors, and I was like, oh gosh, I like her. Oh yeah, she looks interesting. And then I just started looking, and then it's just people started following me back when they saw what I was doing. Now I was very lucky in that the product I was launching was a first period gift box, so it was a bit of a taboo, so got a bit of attention. So but I just kept chatting to people, and to be honest as well, I was a lone parent at the time, and when the kids went to bed, I was sitting there on the laptop, and I was lonely. I'd be honest, I was lonely, and I just wanted to kind of engage with people. I wasn't going out, so it was great. I started building relationships and making a few friends, and then there was some tweet ups that I went to. Like, a tweet up is a meet up offline, by the way, if you don't know what that is. And I started meeting people that way. So then I made, a couple of friends, and it just kind of grew from there. And I just kind of always try to keep it light and positive. And you can actually get known for certain things. Like I always say, good morning from sunny, calm Rosslare Harbour, or whatever the weather is, and one day I didn't say it, and this guy came on and said, actually, I can't get on with my day because you haven't given me the weather report yet for Rosslare Harbour. I was like, oh, right, okay, so I said it then. So, you can get known for different things, but really, I just, people often ask me how come, I've actually got 12,700 followers now. And I kind of wonder sometimes myself, what are they following for? But I suppose I do have a bit of a sense of humor. I do kind of come out with a lot of funny stuff in the evenings after 9. So I've actually put that on my bio as well, just so I don't offend anyone. But it's never anything offensive. I stay away from controversy. Always stay away from controversy.
Okay.
So that's another big tip, yeah.
Great. And how much time do you spend now on Twitter? Say in any day, or is that a dangerous question to ask?
I'm getting a 12-step program soon for my Twitter addiction. But really, it's well, I'd spend time in the morning, first thing in the morning, and I'd say good morning, and then I'd go on. I suppose I do an awful lot more because of my business as well. I run other Twitter accounts, so I'm always looking at what's going on. But as a business, what I'd recommend is 2 in the morning, 2 around lunchtime. Like, the busiest times on Twitter are Monday to Thursday between 1 and 3 p.m. and 10 to 11 is one of the busiest times on Twitter, especially when prime time or something like that, something is on, Game of Thrones, one of those, The Late Late Show, when any of those things are on, it's really busy. So they're the times that I would, like, if you were stuck for time, I'd tweet 10 times a day. I'd recommend 10 times a day. If you can't do 10, do 6, 2 in the morning, 2, 1 to 3, and then 2 at night time. But do interact. Don't just throw tweets out,
Yeah, great. Well, that's just what Kerry Nolan was asking, how often should a business tweet? So I think you've answered that. And Melanie Boylan was asking then, do links or pictures perform differently on Twitter? Which is retweeted more? Just a very good question.
Pictures.
Okay.
Pictures are actually retweeted more. And I only saw this the other day, actually, that this was the case. There was a survey done, Facebook versus Twitter ads, and apparently pictures are more retweeted, funny pictures especially, but even if it's a picture of a sunset, people love pictures of sunsets, we all like to kind of feel serene and at peace and content, so anything that shows that kind of a visual really gets retweeted a lot,
Okay, great. And another really good question in from Catherine Hessian. She asks, is it okay to use a slightly different name to your business name on Twitter?
Yes, but in saying that, if your brand is, let's say your brand, Catherine, I know Catherine's name. Yeah, if your brand is, let's say, Belle Boutique, for example, I would keep Belle Boutique in the name. But if you're a sole trader and you can't get, like, let's say you can't get the name, I would tweak it a little bit. You could have it like funky, let's say it's funky little divas, or you could change it, tweak it a little bit. It is okay to be a bit more quirky on Twitter, so be a bit more creative with your name. So let's say your salon is called Little Divas. There's a new name for somebody if it's not gone already. You can, like, put in funky Little Divas, or like if Little Divas isn't available, for example. Because the way sometimes you search for a name on Twitter and it doesn't let you have it because it's been taken already.
Yes,
so I would be,
Sorry,
I
our
would
business.
be afraid.
Yeah, sorry, our business is Intuition, and we couldn't get that name either. So we use Ask Intuition, which is kind of a clever way of picking up the name. Yeah.
Exactly. Just try and get the brand in there somewhere so that the name kind of sticks in people's subconscious, you know.
Okay. Now, Robbie English is asking, is there any particular reason why people in India and USA would follow you on Twitter, and any particular things to avoid on Twitter?
Okay. First of all, hi Robbie. First of all, you would get followers from India or the US. Like, I don't know. See, sometimes they can just be attracted to your bio, or they might actually be in that business similar to you, and they just want to keep an eye on you as a competitor, even if they're in India, even if they're in the US. I have a lot of followers from the US and Canada, but like we would have similar interests like social media, stuff like that. So if you just look at their bios and see, okay, it doesn't mean you have to follow them back, Robbie. You don't have to follow them back at all. It's only if you really look at their past few tweets, and if they look like they might be like funny or useful or entertaining, well then, you know, follow them back. But otherwise you don't have to at all. But yes, they would still be a potential marketeer. I mean, there was a girl following me from New Zealand, Linda, and she ended up staying with me for a long time there recently because she ended up in Wales and then she ended up here in Ireland. So, I mean, don't discount these people that live far away because you never know, they could be hiking around Ireland at some stage, you know. So, you know, and we are still in contact and we do send work to each other. So it's not just a friendship, it's a business friendship, because everything's online, you know. I could run a Twitter account in New Zealand, well not in New Zealand because of the time difference, but you know, I don't have to be in the UK to run a UK Twitter account. I can be here, you know. So don't discount it all the same. And what was the second part of that question? What to avoid, was it?
Yeah, what to
What
avoid on
followers?
Twitter? Particular don'ts, I suppose, things, mistakes that you might make.
Yeah, I thought he meant followers-wise. I suppose if someone follows you that has an egghead that doesn't have a picture, I would kind of check them out. If they've no followers, just don't click on them. Don't click follow, just block them.
Okay, and
So,
do you
you know,
tend to follow most people that follow you? That's a question David Parslow's asking. You know, if someone follows you, should you follow them back?
you don't have to, but I do if I find them interesting or if I think that there's a kind of something similar there that we would have in common. But you don't have to know.
Okay, great. Okay, there's one more question from Jason McGee.
Hi, Jason.
He'd be interested to know what the cleverest competition you saw on Twitter was.
Oh, the cleverest competition. Well, there was the Kellogg's one where they had the Crave cereal. I thought that was a good one because what they did was they got loads of bloggers to create a kind of a Crave challenge, and that competition was great, and that went all through Twitter, and they had the hashtag for Kellogg's and stuff. Like that was a really good one. That's only because I saw that on the presentation that Kellogg's made. But I suppose in Ireland, let me think. I haven't. Gosh, you put me on the spot there, Jason.
Yeah, well, maybe we can come back
I
to that one a
suppose,
bit later.
yeah, follow
Yeah.
and retweet ones are good. They're very handy. They're a very quick way of getting followers and getting entries, you know.
Yeah.
But no,
Great.
good question, Jason.
Okay, yes, some
Yeah.
great questions, and thanks to everyone that's saying that they're enjoying the webinar as well. We appreciate that. Okay, so will we move on then, Samantha, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
So we're going to move on to effective use of Twitter. So moving on. Yes, really, it's like engagement and interaction. Engage, interact. Now, I know a lot of you guys, actually, the people who ask the questions there, I know some of them from Twitter, actually, and they do a great job of interacting and engaging with people, and it really is all about that, guys, because the more you, don't forget, the more you interact, don't forget, when you do a tweet, your logo or your face, your picture comes up there. So you're instantly recognizable every time you say something. Like, for example, Sugar and Spice, I don't know if anyone of you are following her, but like every time her logo comes up, and she's so bubbly and chirpy, and God, you couldn't be in a bad mood, you know. And it's like, and you just know instantly, you see her little pink logo coming up, it's like, oh, there she is, there's Amanda. You know, so people, and people have said about my face as well, like my face is nearly my logo now at this stage, that lovely airbrushed black and white picture with my makeup and hair done, thank God. You know, so I mean, that picture though, everyone knows that that's me, so I wouldn't be afraid to put if you're a small business owner, by the way, I would put your picture as like you could put your logo in the background of your profile, your bio. You can put the picture that's going to appear every time you tweet. I wouldn't be. I actually think I like to connect with a human picture. to be honest. So it's something maybe to keep in mind, that if you're a small business owner, people sometimes like to see the picture of you rather than the logo, and you can always put your logo on the background, you know. But interaction and engagement, that's how people will get to know. They'll subconsciously, it just sticks in your head. Like I remember I couldn't remember a Twitter name once, and I was like, what color is that logo again? You know, it's mad. You know, people remember that. So interaction and engagement, the more you interact with people, the more you engage with people, the more other people are going to see your little logo or your little face. So that's how it works. Moving on. Now here we have a slide which is a conversation I had with PayPal. Now normally I wouldn't put up any kind of negative tweets at all, but this particular day I was having a really bad time. I had no money and I was waiting for money to transfer from my PayPal account. So I was getting really frustrated because they were asking me for ID and send this and send that, and I was just like, ah. So I just got really mad, and I just tweeted, PayPal, you really don't help Irish businesses by putting limits on accounts when we need this for cash flow, and then it takes days to verify. So I put that up, and this is a great example of a company using Twitter correctly and being on the ball. So straight away, PayPal saw this tweet and said, right, well, we have to stop this, you know, going any further. So they said, hi there, let's see what we can do. Please DM us the email address linked to your account and we'd be happy to take a look. So what they were doing there was they wanted to take it offline, and they were showing that they were helpful and they were actually going to sort the problem or do something about the problem for me. So, and then of course I said, well, I'm sending my ID for the second time, just the delay of it all takes up so much time. And they said, appreciate that. If you wish to DM your email address once you have uploaded the ID, we may be able to speed things up. So they wanted to take it offline straight away. So what they did was they engaged. So straight away I knew that someone was listening to me, which was lovely. And then they took it offline onto direct message. So DM is direct message. So the result of that tweet was that the money got transferred that day. So I got a result, and then afterwards I tweeted, thank you PayPal for supporting small business. So, you know, it's always nice to acknowledge when they do help you out as well. But they did a good thing there by engaging with me, taking it offline straight away. So that's a good example of a company using Twitter correctly. If we move on to the next one. Yeah, this is really important, assisting others. People often ask me, how did I build up my followers so much? And to be honest, I think, like, people have often said to me, look, you know, Sam, I see you and you're always helping people out. You always help out people that are new, and you say, look, guys, give this guy a boost. I need a few followers, or can you check out such and such? You know, these are all little things that assist others. And, you know, even a retweet, you know, it's only a click, guys. So if you see someone struggling or someone that needs a little helping hand to spread the word about something, just retweet them, because they'll remember that you helped them out. And for a small business starting off on Twitter, or anyone starting off on Twitter, it is a kind of a, you know, intimidating time for them. So they are all a bit nervous, not sure if they're using it right and stuff. So welcome them. Say hi, be friendly, and retweet them, because they'll remember that. You know, you don't know who that person is. They could be the next big Apple. You know, they could be the next big Facebook starting out. You know, you just don't know who these people are. And, you know, you giving them a retweet at the start, they'll remember that, so that if you ever need assistance, they'll do the same for you. So they will remember you and they will appreciate it so much, and it'll stick in their heads, and you know, you have a loyal follower then as well, you know. So, and don't forget, your followers are your biggest marketeers. So if you can think of your followers as a big army of marketeers, your own little army of marketeers for yourself. Like, I've had people talk about me and I've never even asked them to say anything about me, and you know that they're actually doing my advertising for me. It's amazing. It's brilliant. So always be ready to help others. It's like real life, I suppose, you know. But especially on Twitter, I see a lot of it going on, and it does make you stand out from the rest. You know, nobody likes someone that's just selfish, and I often see people asking some certain person for retweets, or like asking them to get to engage, and they just won't. And it's like, come on, guys, like, you know what I mean? It's only going to take a few minutes of your time, you know. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Assisting others is a big thing on Twitter. Moving on. If you want to build your Twitter presence, yeah, your Twitter presence is, you know, we all know someone on like even on Facebook or Twitter that, you know, you see them all the time, they're in your timeline, they're saying interesting things, they're having conversations with people, and they're funny, and you know, there's always something going on with them, or they're putting up something interesting. So, you know, people want to, if you want to be known as, like let's say you do health and nutrition, for example, like you could become known as the health and nutrition person, or the person that gives that kind of information on Twitter. So if somebody asks a question and you're not sure of the answer, you can say, well, actually, such and such, she would know the answer to that because she does health and nutrition. Like I often get referrals, people saying, oh, why don't you ask Tweeting Goddess? You know, and this is what you want. You want to become known as the go-to person. So be as consistent as possible in your interaction and tweet rate on Twitter. So if you normally tweet in the morning, like do your tweet every morning. If you normally tweet at nighttime, like do be online at nighttime, so people will get to know that when you're around, what you're up to. Like if you normally go to, you know, let's say I have a radio show on a Saturday night, like people will know that on Saturday nights usually I'm up there doing the radio show, you know, and be known for that, particular humor as well, and be known for that particular type of subject that you tweet about. I mean, if you're tweeting about health issues, people will know you. Like there's a lady, Helena Tuberty, she's the fertility expert, and people know that she is the go-to person with all things to do with fertility, pregnancy, women's health, all that kind of stuff. So she is making a name for herself and raising her profile as being that go-to person. So another thing is to always be positive on Twitter, even in the face of adversity. And now this is a tough one, guys, you know, because we all have bad days. But, you know, if you can try and keep it positive, if you're really having the worst day ever, go off Twitter, go for a walk, don't even tweet, you know. You can ask for help, that's different, or if you can put a spin on it that turns it into a positive. You know, if you could start off a conversation going like maybe, you know, I have said before, gosh, I can't get a babysitter, does anyone else have this problem? This is a conversation starter. So you're actually having a bad day, but you're turning it into a conversation. Maybe it will turn into a positive, something might come out of it, you know. So always be positive if you can, and don't get involved in controversy. Like, you know, if there's like a referendum coming up or stuff, like just stay away from it really if you can, you know. And also I would strongly recommend, you know, don't get involved in any fights. If you see any arguments going on Twitter, just stay out of it, let them off, you know, it'll fade out eventually, and you don't want to get your name connected with that particular spat, because, you know, it will be remembered, and don't forget it's in print forever. All right, so just keep it positive. Now, the quality of your content. Yeah, well, that's kind of going over what I said, really. Like, consider what you share with your followers. Like, if you're always talking about female health and health stuff, and then all of a sudden you start talking about the Man United match, people are going to be a bit confused. They'll be like, what is she tweeting about that for? You know, because your followers are following you for a certain reason. They're following you either because they find you interesting, funny, that you have good content, that you have interesting stuff to share, that you have useful information. You know, that's the reason they're following you. So, like, does it reflect you or the business when you're talking? Like, so you're not going to start talking about something totally off, you know, like off topic. You can bring up real life stuff, of course, you know, because we're all humans and we like to hear the real life stories about your daughter or about the dog or whatever. But does it reflect you or the business? Like, try and keep it within your kind of what you're about. Like, I'm about social media and SMEs and, you know, being a mom, being a working mom, entrepreneurship, you know, so everyone kind of knows. And they also know that I like chocolate and I love tea. So, if so, these are all things that people will you'll get known for, you know. So you're not going to start tweeting about coffee, like if everyone knows you don't drink coffee and you only like tea, for example. It's quite simple, really. Like, is it relevant? Is it accurate? You know, if you get any stats, if you get any, you know, blog posts or stuff, make sure your stats are accurate. Make sure your information is correct. You know, make sure it's a good source that you got the information from, like, you know, the Irish Times or something, you know, somewhere, the Irish Independent, like somewhere that's a news place, like that has got a good reputation, you know. So don't be going sharing things that really you're not sure if they're actually true or not, you know. Avoid these. Okay, these are just a little tip of what to avoid. really long hashtags that are hard to read, which even reading this, it's hard to read, as you can see. And don't use hashtags too much. Hashtags are for targeting your customers, targeting certain, you know, subjects that you want to be involved in, or you want people to see your product or brand on that particular hashtag. So, you know, try and use relevant hashtags, you know, don't use too many. It just doesn't look good in a tweet, you know. And building a mass following or following others that you do not interact with. Yeah, this is a good one as well, because a lot of people have said, oh, you've loads of followers, do you talk to them? I've actually talked to a lot of my followers, and I've got to know a lot of them, and I do interact with them. I know there's like whatever 12,900. I know it's hard to, but every single one has a different personality, and they would pop in every now and then they're delighted to say, Jeannie, she remembers me, you know, because I do keep an eye on what people are up to. And I do spend a lot of time on Twitter, obviously, as well. Not as much now as I used to, but, you know, as a lone parent sitting there lonely in the evenings when I started on Twitter, I got to know all these people, you know, as I built up the following. So, like, there's a guy from the US, for example, his name is Quentin, and he pops in every now and then and goes, hey, Sammy, and I know him because he's the only one that calls me Sammy. So I know who he is, and he might just pop in every now and then. I go, God, Quentin, how are you? Da, da, da. And we just kind of chat and have a laugh. But it's just nice that they know that you remember them, and it just makes them feel important as well. And don't keep focusing on self-promotion. Now, self-promotion is very important, guys. I don't like, you know, Ireland, I don't know what it is. I think we're afraid to kind of shout about the good things that happen to us. We're afraid to talk about achievements that we've done, and, you know, people might think you're bragging. But, you know, it is good to talk about yourself and what's going on and all that. But, you know, also be seen to be talking to others and asking how they are, and you don't want to be just me, you know, and talk about things, or, you know, isn't it, you know, you could have a little comment like, oh, isn't it terrible about, you know, for example, Peaches passing away, I'm shocked, or whatever, you know, excuse me, and don't be afraid to kind of talk about other things and other people and say, isn't this little guy great, look what he's doing, whatever, you know. So don't just, it's not all about you know. And moving on. And 3 characteristics to adopt. I love these 3 words because you kind of need these 3 words if you're going to be an entrepreneur, and if you're going to be on Twitter as well. These are 3 things that I actually have on my Twitter profile as well, because, you know, these are the type of people I want to attract. These are the type of people I want in my life. I don't want negative neg heads. I don't want, you know, people who are bitching about others, all that kind of stuff. I love people who have courage. I've met so many people who have courage, and, you know, it takes courage to start a business. It takes courage to step outside your comfort zone, and I really admire that in people. It's a lovely, lovely trait, and it took courage for me to make that step as well, to start the business, even though, you know, I was in a bad place, I had no money and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, courage is huge, you know, and I love that characteristic. Determination is another trait that I would have, and I love to see determination in people. I love persistence as well, and determination is, you definitely need determination if you're going to be an entrepreneur, because it's not going to work otherwise. You know, you just have to be determined that you're going to get your goal and have a goal in sight, and you know, don't give up, you know, and it's hard not to give up, and, you know, you need to surround yourself with people that will help you if you do feel like you're in a stage where you're going to give up, that you have those people in your circle, in your, you know, in your following, in your little blanket around you that are determined also, that will kind of give you the boost and give you the little push to help you, you know. And that's why I put those words out there a lot, because I like people with those characteristics. And positivity is so important. You know, it's so easy. Look, we all have bad days. I have bad days. But positivity, if you can try and focus on the positive instead of what I don't have, I try and focus on what I do have and how far I've come, and, you know, my children and those things. Like, try and concentrate on the positive things that you have. There's always someone much worse off than you, and, you know, try to keep it positive if you can, and surround yourself with positive people. And when you meet people, be positive. You know, people love positive people. You know, there's always this certain aura about them, and they shine, you know. So try and keep positivity in there as well.
Okay, Sam, well, I'll just maybe come in here for a second to
Yeah.
see if there are any questions from the audience. And while they're typing those in the chat window, just to say that I really do feel that you do show you have courage, determination, and positivity, because you've come such a long way since you started on Twitter.
Mm.
It was back in 2011, was it, or
Yeah.
2012?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how much time do you spend on Twitter now, so on a daily
I'd
basis?
spend a lot of time on Twitter, but I usually tweet in the morning, and then if you're an SME, the morning is good, just to say good morning and check your notifications to see, has anyone mentioned you during the night, has anyone asked you a question and stuff, and then I'd kind of go off and do my thing, my emails and stuff, and then another time is break time, so I definitely tweet about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then lunchtime is a very busy time between 1 and 3. Between 1 and 3, Monday to Thursday. Now, not Friday, by the way, because Friday, that's actually the quietest time on Twitter after 3 o'clock, because everyone's just gone home, basically, I suppose. But yeah, I would always tweet at night time, though, 10 to 11, because that's when the kids are in bed, and it's kind of my time, and I enjoy Twitter as well. Like, I'm passionate about Twitter. Like, I'm not just, well, maybe slightly addicted as well, but, in the evenings, that's my social time. I don't really go out much. I don't drink anymore, so, I kind of don't go out to pubs and stuff, so that's kind of my social life. So, in the evenings, 10 to 11 is definitely the time that I see a lot of people socializing on Twitter, actually, so.
Okay, and you have,
I would
if
be
you
on
have,
it a lot now because it's my business as well.
okay, and just talking about the
Sorry.
business there, if you have an event coming up, how often would you tweet about that?
Oh, I would tweet about it several times during the day. I would mix it up, though, I would mix it up with talking to people, having chats, and then I think I must have tweeted the Irish Biz Party Conference event, I'd say about 10 times yesterday. And that was because I was kind of looking out to see who was on Twitter at the time, because I knew that they would actually retweet it. You see, I've got to know who the people are that are active on Twitter, because I have so many followers, because I'm on it so much. I get to know who are the good advocates, who are the people who support SMEs, who are the people that will retweet. So I'm kind of looking out for these people, and when they're on Twitter, I will actually tweet, about the conference, because I know I have a good idea they might retweet it or they might interact with me,
Oh, great. Okay. And one other question then, how do you deal with the trolls that you get on Twitter, people that just want to put you down?
Oh gosh, well, there's lots of them, all right. But you don't really kind of get them too much until you're over a certain amount of followers. Like, usually it wasn't really till I got over 5,000 followers that these guys started. But at first I was very upset by it. I took it very personally. But then I learned as I went along, do you know what? These guys, I'd look at their profile, and to be honest, all they're doing is bitching and being negative about people. So I don't want them on my timeline. So I just block them now. Try not to let them get to me. Just block them. They're just either jealous, begrudgers, or just have nothing to do, and they just want to cause you a bit of grief. I've had some very hurtful things said to me, but I've learned as I've gone along that if I just block them, I don't have to see those conversations anymore, and I really don't care. I only want to be surrounding myself with people who get me, who understand me, and are positive as well. So it's like life, I suppose. You just get rid of the toxic people out of your life and just keep the good ones.
Okay.
Now, just to let you know as well, there's a lot of Twitter success stories, and we see them all the time. You might see them trending in your trend section on the left-hand side of your screens on Twitter. There'll be like Ireland trends, and you can see what's happening there. I mean, like Justin Bieber, for example. Let's just take Justin Bieber. Okay, he's got like millions of followers. I think he's one of the highest followed celebs out there. I know my daughter follows him anyway, but this raises his profile so much. It also the fact that the girls are waiting for him to tweet him, and they share all his stuff all the time. Like, so he is so influential. Like, if he was doing a brand, for example, like brands would love to get him on board because he's got so many followers. You'll see Amy Huberman. She's very funny. She's a great tweeter. She's got like over 100,000 followers. But I think Irish Biz Party as a Twitter success story is a good example. I started the hashtag one night because I was frustrated I couldn't get money off the bank, and I was like, do you know what, guys, I think we're just going to have to help each other out here. So I just said, look, who wants to have, you know, tell me about your business and I'll retweet it for you. Let's have an Irish Biz Party. And that's how it started. And that was 2 years ago. And that night it trended on Twitter. People see what happened was, it was like Twitter magic. I always call it Twitter magic, you know. People started talking to each other and saying, oh, hi, you know, I'm looking forward to this Irish Biz Party. And then they started messing, and then they were like, oh, what do you do anyway? And I could see conversations going on, and then I started seeing sales happening in front of my eyes, like, oh my gosh, my mother would love that. I must actually go to your website and order, you know. And I was like, whoa, this is great, you know. And then by the end of the night we were trending, and I think there was over 30 businesses only at the time taking part, and a few people came in messing as well, you know, say, where's the toilet, you know, where's the bar, you know, all this kind of stuff. But at the end of it, the SME started saying, look, gee, we should do this next week. Can we do this next week? And I was like, well, okay, right, we'll do it next week from Wednesday to 9 to 11. And then 2 years later, it's still going. So, you know, it's every Wednesday night from 9 to 11 p.m. And if you're an SME, you just join in, use the hashtag Irish Biz Party. And what this means is, if you just put the hashtag Irish Biz Party into your tweet, it'll be seen by all the people taking part. And we've over 800 businesses take part. We'd over 1,000 a couple of weeks ago. So you're bound to make some new connections, and it's really networking in your PJs. So it's a perfect solution for people who, like me, you know, like maybe lone parents as well, that can't get out to networking events, find it hard to get a babysitter, and like even those BNI things, they're like, what, the breakfast meetings, like they're like at 7 in the morning, and you know, it's just impossible for a mum to get out to those things. And it just makes it fun as well, and you're meeting real people and building relationships. Really, and Twitter is all about building relationships. I can't emphasize that enough. I think I have emphasized it really a lot, but it's really all about building the relationships up, you know. I mean, I've people I've worked with and I've never even met them. I've Twitter accounts I've run and I've never even met. Like, it could be from the UK or something. I've never even met the customer, like, but because of Skype and Google Hangouts and, you know, webinars like this, you can actually build relationships with these people without even meeting them. I worked for Sun Tzu a while back, and I think I met my boss 4 times. You know, so, you know, and that was like a 6-month contract thing. So, you know, it's amazing what you can do with Twitter. You can build relationships, you can find contacts, and, you know, the Irish Biz Party success story, it's really, like, now we're having an offline conference on the 30th of April. So I'm hoping to get all these people together under one roof, and we're all going to be able to meet each other, you know, in person, which is lovely, you know. And we have independent.ie now as our media partner too. So, you know, there are people that are noticing us. So, you know, it's all good, all positive stuff. But for me, my Twitter success, like, people can't, like, people often I haven't met before would say, gosh, you know, how did you do it? You have so many followers and all this. And, you know, I don't know. I think I was just lucky, guys, that my personality shone through, and I do like helping others, and, you know, I'm in a good space myself, and I was able to connect with the human side and the humans behind businesses too, and I could see the problems I was having, and I wanted to know, well, I knew I wasn't the only person having these problems, so I felt, you know, that, you know, from me tweeting about it and from sharing my tips and stuff, maybe I could help others that way. But it does my profile no harm at all. You know, so people know me as the go-to person, so they know that if I have a Twitter workshop, that I'll know what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? So
yes,
really,
I've been on your Irish Biz Party on a Wednesday night, and I know you have a British Biz Party going as well. So well done to you. Have you any advice for people though in terms of keeping up, because you've got this constant stream of tweets coming in, and it's really hard to keep up. So have you any advice as to how to get the most out of that party?
Well, you can use, there's different things like Hootsuite, and there's different apps you can get, you know, but to be honest, I just follow the hashtag. If you just go into the search box at the top, there's a search box, and just put Irish Biz Party and then click return, and then it'll have top tweets and all tweets. And if you just click on all, you'll be able to see every single tweet coming in. But if you can't keep track, because they are quite fast, if you just favorite the ones that catch your eye, so if you click the favorite button and favorite the ones that catch your eye that you want to kind of follow up on later, you can go back later on if you go into your lists. So you go into lists and then you go into favorites, and all of those tweets that you favorited will be listed there. So if you're not sure and you can't really keep up, just click favorite on the ones that you don't want to miss, you know. And that's how I keep track as well. And it's really ones that catch my eye. So keep it interesting. It's a good practice for you as well for tweeting, you know. See which one gets the most interaction. See which one of your tweets that you put out got the most retweets and which one got you the most interactions, you know, because then you know, well, that's the kind of message I need to be putting out there. That's the kind of tweet I need to be doing. So it's a great way to practice tweeting. Irish Biz Party is actually.
Okay, well that's great advice, Samantha. So I think we're coming to the end of the webinar now. And if you haven't been active on Twitter up to now and you want to find Samantha, the handle is @SamanthaKelly. And
no, @tweetinggoddess.
Yes, that's your personal one, isn't it? So, yeah, at Tweeting Goddess, of course, and then hashtag Irish Biz Party. That's BIZ, Irish Biz Party. Okay, great.
And there's an Irish Biz Party account as well, @Irish Biz Party.
Okay, well done. And you can be found on Facebook as well?
Facebook, Pinterest, Google Plus.
Everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Great.
Yeah.
And
Pinterest I think is good as well, guys, if you have a visual kind of business, like if you're a designer and stuff like that. But you know, Twitter is really catching up and is allowing photographs and all this kind of stuff on Twitter much more. So I would try Twitter, see if it works for you. It doesn't work for everyone, but I would highly recommend it. Like even getting involved in the Irish Biz Party just to do that, even just to do that on a Wednesday night.
Brilliant.
You know,
Okay.
You will see the effects, you know.
Okay. And we're hoping to have Samantha do a workshop with us. So if you want to keep track of that, you can look at our website, which is www.in-tuition.ie. So I'd like to thank Samantha for being our guest tonight. It's been a wonderful webinar. I'd like to thank everyone who's signed up, and I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did, and look forward to continued success.
Thank you, Anne. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.